For our AISTS Team Projects, we conducted and assessed a number of interviews with specialists at NGOs and federations in the context of diversity and anti-discrimination within the context of football. We did this on behalf of our clients, represented here today by Gert Demboski. Very warm welcome to Gert. Gert is the Diversity and Anti-Discrimination Manager. Thanks for coming down from Zurich and being here today. I'll just take a quick second to introduce our international team. From Nigeria, we have Otonye. From France, Berenice. From Portugal, José. And from Mexico, Oscar. And I'm Michael from the UK. So without further ado, let's kick off and set the scene.
As we just heard in this institutional video, FIFA will stop at nothing to rid football of discrimination. Before we commence to go deeper into this assessment, we want to define what discrimination is. And according to the Cambridge Dictionary, discrimination is treating a person or a group of people differently, especially because of their, in a worse way than you will treat somebody else, especially because of their skin color, race, sex, sexuality, etc. But what is doing FIFA nowadays to fight discrimination between football? Well, first of all, the article number 4 of FIFA's statutes established that discrimination of any kind is strictly prohibited and is punishable by suspension or expulsion. The fight against discrimination in or through football is a continuous battle. It involves changing mentalities and developing actions and ideas that might be as simple as they may be effective. This is what the good practice guide on diversity and anti-discrimination says. In this slide, last October 2015, FIFA launched the Good Practice Guide on diversity and anti-discrimination for its member associations to promote and encourage diversity and fight against discrimination between football. The guide has gathered several practical examples of actions to do that is based on a strategic approach that lays on 5 pillars. The first one, regulations, control and sanctions, communications, education, and networking and cooperation. The guide aids the member associations with the right tools to devise their own action plans they have to deliver to FIFA as requested by the FIFA Congress. It is important to mention that during our research, we found out that we compared with other international federations, and FIFA and the International Cricket Council are the only ones that are addressing diversity and anti-discrimination with a good practice guide, which give us a reference of where we're standing when football is standing in the world of sports. Later on, as part of FIFA sustainability initiatives, the branch of diversity and anti-discrimination of the department has tasked the AISTS team to collect and assess ideas from international experts around the world in the field, experts in the field around the world. We conducted 13 semi-structured interviews that were set against the 5-pillar model, which we've already seen. And well, first of all, the interviews were structured. They began with general questions about the expert's experience in the field and where they worked and everything. And then we jump into more specific questions around the pillars in each one of them. Then we deliver a think tank documentation to FIFA for them to analyze and discuss internally. And we received the evaluation and the validation of the diversity and anti-discrimination manager in FIFA Sustainability Department. We're glad and proud to say that during this research and during this assessment, we had contact with different people and personalities that include heads of NGOs or representatives of diversity and anti-discrimination organizations, including a Nobel Prize nominee. After this introduction, we're going to go into our key findings that led us to our conclusions.
So for our examples, we chose 3 regions: Africa, Europe, and South America. Now, why did we choose this region? We chose this region because this is where the rich data was collected. Now, even though the experts gave us details from their experience. We should keep in mind that there are complexities when it comes to tackling discrimination and promoting diversity, especially in the context of football. So here, the 5 pillars, they work together, even though some of the regions are not mentioned. Now, the first region is Africa. The experts agree that there are 2 main issues in Africa. We have tribalism and we have gender inequality. Now, in order to tackle this, they agree that education is key. Empowering role models to be able to promote equality in this region by properly educating them on and off the field regarding issues of diversity and discrimination through their member association and or their clubs, for them to understand the kind of influence they have on their fans, especially the younger demographics. To quote one of our experts, the whole ambassador thing is really good because they carry their message across the world and have so many young people looking up to them that whatever they say becomes a way of life for these young people. Also, the coaches, with regards to the youth, play a very huge role. They are their first line of defense when it comes to discriminatory ideology. So the coaches need to be trained. They need to not only be trained in the sport, but also to be able to be eloquent when it comes to social matters. Also, in the networking and cooperation, the experts agree that there's a lack of communication between the NGOs and the member associations. One of the experts states that the guide seems to be Eurocentric. It's not for Africa. But we need to note that the guide was proactively developed and was shared by a task force member from non-Western European region. The issue of discrimination, says one expert, it's bigger than FIFA. So there needs to be a combined effort with the member associations and the NGOs who know and understand the situation on ground to be able to have a quicker and a more visible result. Now we'll go to the next region, that is Europe. The experts agree here that racism and xenophobia is more prevalent, and in tackling this with the issue of controls and sanctions by collective punishment like stadium closure, they say it seems to hurt the wrong people, like the home and away fans that are innocent and were not involved in the discriminatory act. So they are championing a more positive sanction, like when you ban a player, instead of just going to sit down, he gets educated on this discriminatory act and does some community service. Also, the fines that are issued to by the member association doesn't seem to have the necessary clout to act as a worthy punishment or deterrent. So in order for this to have weight, there's a need for the fine to be proportionate to the revenue, like 10%, so that it will be able to have weight, so to understand the situation. And also, the experts agree that communication, using ambassadors, players that have knowledge of discrimination, proactive, they're not afraid to speak their mind, they criticize the organizations that are in the game so that there will be a more authentic commitment. They give an example of David Alaba. He's a Bayern Munich Austrian international player who is of Nigerian and Philippine origin. He has gone above and beyond just doing photo ops. He proactively goes and supports the refugees in the refugee centers. He gives practical support to people that have been affected by discrimination. He speaks out in social media against discrimination, and he encourages his peers to do the same. The experts agree that players like him are far and few in between. They actually need more players to be more proactive. Now, the next region is South America, where the experts say that the problem of homophobia needs to be addressed by the member association. They need to properly name this in their regulation. It's one thing to have it in black and white, but it needs to be empowered. It needs to be brought to life by proper implementation and measurement. Also, they said that the word discrimination does not have the same connotation in every culture. So shouting certain words at the opposing team in a match might not necessarily be discriminatory. It might just be cultural. So there needs to be training, education of match officials, observers, to know how to watch a match and know what is cultural and what is discriminatory. Also, they need to educate the fans to understand what is acceptable and what is not. And lastly, they also agree, like the African region, that cooperation between the NGOs, because the NGOs are the ones that actually make the connection with the people. They understand the cultural specificities, and in order to be able to crack those complexities, they need to work together with the member associations so that they can fight long-standing mentalities that are really deeply embedded in cultures. Now, one of the key things we found is that there is a slight disconnect between the NGOs and the NGO's knowledge and what FIFA is currently doing. So now we are going to see what FIFA is currently doing.
So, as Otoni just mentioned, we've been quite surprised to see how experts in the field and NGO heads of development of some NGOs or programs were not really aware of what FIFA is doing. And to be honest, we thought it would be very positive for you also to know it and to balance their opinion. So we're going to go briefly through the main FIFA's action. As you can see, the guide has been issued, as Oscar said, in October 2015. And Oscar also mentioned the task force that came up with the guide have been created in 2013 with the aim of defining and identifying priorities and to give recommendation to other FIFA's department. So Football for Hope has been created in 2005. It's a program that provides funding and resources to NGOs to develop that program to fight against discrimination within the context of football. Women Football Leadership Program has been launched in 2015 on the International Women's Day. It's actually a set of conference every year and also a training program for some of the future women football leader. We'd like to put the spotlight on the observer scheme that is about to be issued for the 2017 Confederation World Cup in Russia and 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. This observer scheme is a system of observers that will be sent on identified as high-risk games to monitor any discrimination issues or any discrimination matters. They would have 24 hours to report it to FIFA. We'll talk about that during our recommendation, but it was important to mention this. And also, later this year, actually in a few weeks, FIFA will give away its first diversity award at the occasion of Soccerex in Manchester. This award the purpose of these awards is to reward organization, group initiative, or personality outstanding action in the fight of discrimination in the context of football. Even later this year, in December, we'll have the FIFA World Cup 2016 will happen, and during the semi-final, FIFA will enjoy the semi-final to implement its FIFA Anti-Discrimination Day. These days have been created in 2001 to raise awareness in the football family about discrimination and diversity. It always happens during FIFA events every year, either quarterfinal and semi-final. Most of the time, it takes the form of events around the stadium and captains reading a speech about diversity and anti-discrimination before the kickoff of the game. So now that we've seen what FIFA is doing, and we realize that some of the experts inside were overlapping with FIFA's action in the field, we'd like to give away our recommendation. Well, it sounds obvious, but as we mentioned, experts' recommendation and FIFA's action are overlapping, and we've been quite surprised to realize that fast. So we would, of course, recommend to maybe invest more in communication either in context or content or dissemination, but it always asks the question of the resources, the financial mean, because the more you invest on communication, the less you can invest on your exploitation budget and the actual projects. So we will also mention the fact that FIFA made very clear when issuing the Good Practice Guide that it was a first step in a global approach of discrimination in the world, and it was meant to be adapted by the member association with the help of FIFA. We will recommend member association to work together hands in hand with FIFA and maybe to gather themselves in a little group to create some more tailor-made guide, maybe 4 to 5 tailor-made guide, just like Tony mentioned with example, one of the expert quoting, this guide is not for Africa, maybe African Association can gather and develop something more adapted to Africa. Also, one of our recommendations is we mentioned Football for Hope, that brings a lot of NGOs and organizations together. We will encourage FIFA to keep doing it, to keep doing it, and maybe involve more NGOs. Actually, there are 139 NGOs from 58 different countries in the program, but maybe within the frame of the program, which can be sometimes very demanding as an administration thing, maybe help or provide tools for NGOs to gather together and share their experience and knowledge. One of our last recommendations is very specific. It's about cooperation. We mentioned the FIFA Observer Scheme, so those observers that are going to monitor the 2017 Confederation Cup and 2018 World Cup. If successful, if FIFA glad with the results, we would recommend, why not, offering the possibility for a member association to use those observers to develop their action or implementation plan. Maybe not as a durable services or cooperation, but maybe punctually to assess some very specific and high-risk games. We've also, so FIFA is also about to issue this club licensing system, which works pretty much like the Confederation licensing system. So football clubs have to meet a certain number of standards to acquire the FIFA license, and then they will be required to have the FIFA license for example, competitions or other kinds of matters. We would recommend FIFA to put diversity and anti-discrimination matters and topic within those standards that are for now about sporting, infrastructure, HR, legal, and finance. So we will recommend sustainability and especially diversity and discrimination to be implemented in the licensing system. Finally, last but not least, we would warmly recommend that if anti-discrimination and pro-diversity matters are, of course, a topic at the FIFA Sustainability Department, we would love and recommend to FIFA to implement those matters in their everyday strategic thinking and everyday plans, no matter which department, because more than just the fight of some people within the house FIFA, it's the fight of FIFA to make the game better.
So you can clap if you want.